We have a different series entirely. We have the lower semifinals. We're diving into game number 1 between these two lovely players. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gressfarm, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming, the best Protoss in Korea. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. They are teammates. We have the best Zerg player in South Korea. It is Dark. Oh, sorry. I apologize. There we go. It would not be a Korean weekly tournament without herO versus Dark at some point in this tournament. It's a shame that they face off here in the semifinals. Usually they face off in the finals, but 'tis how seeding does work. And yeah, I am ready for this. We've been avoiding Dark all day. We've been focusing on Ragnarok. We've been focusing on Classic, on Cure instead. But now we have our first finalist. Cure is waiting in the grand finals for the winner of this series for either a Zerg or a Protoss. Feels good, man. Feels no mirror matchup. Ah, beautiful. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to a PvP, but it's not happening. Meanwhile, as a bit of an update, we mentioned it earlier, but herO did 2-0 Bjorn, as to be expected. I mentioned it in the previous series, but herO has had Bjorn's number. Specifically, his PV Bjorn has been so good, and yeah, Bjorn's been having a hard time overcoming herO. Meanwhile, Dark also 2-0'd Oliveira. That was not casted on this channel, that was casted over on Steadfast channel instead. But Dark did take down Oliveira 2-0. So very well warmed up against the Terrans. But what about the Protoss? As this is going to be quite a matchup. See in the chat, Envy. Cure is not 200 APM, is 300 plus. If you missed out on what we were saying earlier, the reason why Cure beat Clem with 200 APM is because he's injured. He was actually playing with a sling. So he was playing with a bit of a disability at DreamHack Yongshipping, which is why it was really impressive that Cure was able to beat Clem regardless, despite barely being able to move his hand. Crazy. Crazy. Also, I was just messaging Maddox as well. Maddox is the Korean caster. He was translating what Cure was saying, and because I was curious if Cure had recovered. I was curious if he was feeling better and if he was like fully able to use his hand. And the answer I got was not yet. Cure is still in the midst of, he's still going through like physical therapy, and he's still trying to get his like full mobility and full access to his hand as we speak. But I guess he's well enough to play again, just not at 100%. Not at 100%. Which is really cool. Really cool that he was able to play as well as he did against both Clem a couple of weeks ago and now Ragnarok as well this week. So Cure, he's getting back on that horse, riding that bike. Let's go. And here we go. Now we're in the semifinals, or the lower semifinals. The first Oracle is going to be zooming across the map. I apologize for not having predictions open. I do apologize. I will set up predictions for the grand finals. It's just we had very little time to prepare for the lower semifinals. We just jumped in. So I do apologize for that. But for the finals, remind me. We'll have predictions for the grand finals. As we do have a Stargate opener here from Dark, the first Oracle is going to be zooming across the map. Meanwhile, from Cure, Dark is going to try and harass here with these Lings, and he's going to be able to barely break into the natural. Just force the activation of that Pulsar Beam as he does back off. Meanwhile, the first Oracle gets across the map. We have a Stasis Trap into the main base, and it's going to go off. Only on one drone. You love to see it. A good reaction there out of Dark. Meanwhile, Cure behind this is going for a Twilight Council and a Forge. Pretty standard follow-up here from herO. Nothing too crazy. Just double Oracle into his... triple Oracle into his tech. And we'll see how much damage he can get done. The Oracles, they are going to be dancing between the bases. They dive into the mineral line. They're going to be able to get a couple of drones. Not too many. Only 2 workers for the time being, as the Queens were ready for him. There's also a Spore set up at the third base as well. I really appreciate it. There are a lot of Zerg players that actually skip the Spore at the third base just to be greedy, but I do believe that specifically against herO, it's worth not skipping. It's worth throwing down all three of your Spores just because of how good he is with his Oracle Harass. So after all said and done, only 3 drones go down. Very acceptable losses here for Dark, as he's able to get his 4th base up and running. But you know what? The Oracles aren't done either. They dive into the main and oh my god, just like that, the first Queen goes down. We're going to tank a couple of those Spore shots. The Queens are coming from behind. And 1 Oracle will go down. But I believe that's 7 drones now for 1 Oracle. I would say that's still worth it for herO overall. And again, herO is the kind of player that's willing to start up another Oracle and replace the ones that he's lost, depending on how aggressive he wants to be. Speaking of his aggression, we do see a bit of a gateway explosion behind this. 4 gates on the way in addition to the 4 that we already have. Have that Robo as well. And hero's been pretty passive this game. We've seen that at times herO can be active with his first couple of Stalkers, but for the time being he's been staying here back at home instead. Much more defensive approach, at least until the Prism comes out. I like the catching up in the chat at Home Story Cup. Oh, okay, hold on. I'll catch up with the story after this push. As herO is going to be threading the bases here, just shaving off whatever he can. Interesting. So herO actually isn't going to be committing too hard. He has the Prism to harass, don't get me wrong, but he's going to be more conservative, more defensive with his army. We have a second Robo and a Bay on the way. We saw this earlier today in Classic versus Ragnarok, where we're going to be looking to hit a timing with first 2 Colossus and then 4 Colossus. So we're going to be playing very tech heavy instead. Not just with the Colossus production, but also with the second Forge for double upgrades. Even a Dark Shrine as well. So again, very tech heavy. herO, he's skipping Warp-ins to afford all of this. He's staying back at home, and he's going to be slowly taking a 4th base. So a very different style that we usually see from herO. But again, it shows that herO is a very diverse player. He doesn't just have to be hyper aggressive. He's willing to, you know, mix things up when he needs to. So again, as a result, he's completely giving Dark map control. And likewise, I love what Dark is doing. He has recognized that herO isn't really committing to anything. And likewise, Dark is taking up very quickly into Lurkers. Because he can. So even though herO is going to be able to rush into these Disruptors, not Colossi, even though he's rushing into a higher form of tech and a higher quality army, so is Dark. So is Dark. As his elves do slip into the main base. Drone damage being done. Nice hold position micro there as well. We did get eyes on the Hydra Den earlier, and it looks like we have confirmation that the Lurker Den has been scouted by herO. He's fully aware of what's going on. And that's why these Disruptors are a wise choice. They are going to be a better answer to these Lurkers than Colossi would. And herO is going to be moving out across the map with his first 2 Disruptors. And what do we have at home to defend? We already have a couple of Lurkers on the way, bearing in mind that we don't have a Hive, so these won't have adaptive talents. It means that it's going to be a little bit harder to avoid those Purification Novas. As herO is pushing on forward, Dark is setting up for a surround. Getting ready to come in from behind. We do have a couple of Stasis Traps, though, covering the backside of herO. Oh, and 2 massive Novas will go off. The surround is still real, though, and even though Dark, he took some Novas to the face, he's getting on top of the Disruptors. Stasis Trap barely goes off, but the Disruptor count gets reset. We have 1 more here in the back line. But Dark swallows up this army for the most part. Oh! Solid last second split there towards the end. Averts disaster. Oh my god. And with these Lurkers, Dark, he can potentially keep on pushing. If it wasn't for these Disruptors. So Dark is going to respect that. He's going to back off. Saturate his bases. Focus on getting up towards that 80 worker counts. And now that the Hive is done, we have Adaptive Talons on the way and Vipers. Again, there's no reason to push out now without Vipers. They will completely change the dynamic of this fight, of these armies. Vipers, they do such a great job at shutting down Disruptors, Colossi, Immortals, any kind of high-tech unit. As we do have a Zealot run by at the third base, a massive warp in into the main. The main army tries to push on forward, but the Disruptors are exposed. Oh, there's no Prism. The Disruptor count gets reset once again. Oh, herO just misjudging the army a little bit. Does throw away a lot of his high-tech units. Meanwhile, in the main base, he doesn't get too many drone kills at all. The Prism does get forced back. And now with the arrival of these Vipers, Dark, he has a massive lead. And herO knows that. We've seen this before. herO, as soon as he does kind of lose momentum in a game, Fleet Beacon, Stargate, Sky Toss. herO knows that he's been losing too much. He's been bleeding out too many of these robo units, too many Disruptors. He cannot end the game. The lurker count has gotten too high. We're going for the skies. We're going for those carriers. But before that happens, Dark is maxed. Dark can potentially kill herO before these Stargates really get underway. Before we can really transition into Sky Toss. herO is in a lot of trouble right now. His goal here is to survive. Survive long enough to get into his Sky Toss. We'll see if he can. Here we go. Dark now with the map control, now with the momentum, is moving on out. He's going to be avoiding the main army. He's going for the center base instead. At the same time, do have a bit of a Zealot run by, but no, we have lurkers in position. The Zealots get cleaned up. The Yoinks come in. First Disruptor goes down. We have two more behind this. Solid feedback on one of those Vipers, but we still have plenty of energy remaining. God, the Disruptors are looking very exposed, and there are the Yoinks! No, we have the feedbacks! The Abducts are not thrown down. Good connections with those Disruptors. But the Lurkers, they still keep pushing. They're laying siege upon this base. The mineral line is going down. Lurkers are coming in. Sorry, the Zealots are coming in. And it looks like maybe Dark has overextended. He's going to be losing everything. Forget about carriers. The Gateway Army. Oh, not the most efficient trade out of herO, but he will get all these lurkers. The problem is that herO had to throw away a lot of his army. He lost all his Disruptors, he lost all of his High Templar, his Archons. Meanwhile, Dark, with a solid economy, remaxes. Dark is getting ready to push in once again, and herO is still recovering after that last fight. He needs more time. Doesn't need more time, but Dark isn't going to be giving him that time. Keeps on pushing forward. Oh, the Novas go up. Ooh. Good connections on those Hydras, but not on the Lurkers. As the Lurkers keep on pushing forward. Vipers have arrived once again. They get the Yoinks off onto the Archons. At the same time, the Stalkers try to get a surround off, but no, they can't quite pull it off. Looks like Dark has too much. We do have a massive warp into the main base. The Zealots are doing a lot of damage across the map, but nowhere near as much as Dark. Yeah, the reinforcements back at home clean up those Zealots. We get 6 drone kills, but only 6. Oof. As hero's just trying to hold on with what little he has. Again, he just wasn't able to get into his Sky Toss. He wasn't allowed to get his 5 bases fully saturated, up and running. Again, herO was just a little bit too careless in the mid-game. With his Disruptors, with his army, he lost too much too early on. And Dark was able to snowball out of control. Do we have detection? We don't. The DTs are going to force back Dark. The Invisible Man, it's too much. Oh, can we hold on to this space? Oh, it's going to be close. A couple more shots. Then it's not... the Lurker isn't targeting down the Nexus. It will be saved. herO barely holds on with those Dark Templar. But last Dark just backs off. Gets the hit, gets detection, makes more Lurkers. It's getting ready to go again. Vipers stocked up full of energy, and here we go. We're coming in for a bit of a surround. Oh, or at least we're trying to. Novas are going to be going off. We take down a couple of lurkers. Not bad. And we can see herO is forcing his way across the map as well. Oh, another solid Nova on those Hydras. And herO is committing to the base trade. Dark is turning back around. But Dark has, you know. He's going to be taking a couple of Novas and a couple of Storms to the face. Definitely. But he's going to be able to take down the most important, the crucial mining bases of his opponent. No detection here, though, so that one DT is doing a lot. But alas, it's still not going to be enough. The reinforcements clean everything else up. The boys are pulled, and yeah, herO loses everything he has. GG gets called. Dark takes game number 1. Ooh, GG. Aye, aye, aye. Damn, not a bad start here for Dark. It was a pretty interesting opener from herO. If you recall, it was a much more passive, much more defensive opener from herO, and Dark was able to recognize that fast enough. And as soon as he did, Dark likewise was so quick to tech up into those lurkers, just as herO was taking up into disruptors. So a really a wise choice from Dark, a really smart move to be able to, again, keep up with herO. And we saw that when it came to the engagements themselves, herO was having a hard time really keeping up with his own aggression. Like, the Zealot run-bys were doing some damage, sure, but when it came to the main army, herO, he was bleeding out far too many disruptors, and yeah, as a result, Dark takes a lead in this series. At a panel discussion at Homestar Cup, they talked about altitude. One pro only player, as the only player, 3 games in that map. Oh, sorry. One pro only played 3 games on that map. 100% veto. Sad story. Oh my god. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. I'm kind of like that. How many games do I have on altitude? I have like maybe like 8 games on altitude or something. Same with Neo Humanity. I'm one of those players where at the start of the season, immediately I vetoed Neo Humanity and altitude. And I only recently unvetoed them to actually start, like, to mix things up a little bit. I say mix things up. Really, I just want to veto some other maps. I can understand. That's also why I really appreciate the Korean scene. They're a lot more willing to play on altitude. More often than not, in ESL Open Cup Asia and in KSL, altitude is played on, and we actually get to experience it. Less so on some of the other weekly tournaments like ESL Americas or ESL Open Cup EU. But they're a little bit more afraid of the map, or just, yeah, willing to avoid it. If behind Dark Shrine. I mean, hey, the DTs, they kept herO alive a little bit. Just a little bit longer. Not too bad. Didn't win him the game, but, you know, they did their part. They did their part. As we are getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the best Protoss in all South Korea, arguably the best Protoss in the world, representing CranKy Gaming. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the best Zerg in all of South Korea, representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. Let's go, let's go. And this is pretty intense already. Let me just double check, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe herO has a bit of a win streak against Dark right now. I think it's been a while since Dark has taken a series off of herO, and he's 1 game away from doing so. I remember checking the history between these 2 players maybe last week, when we were casting them during the previous ESL Open Cup. Or maybe the previous KSL. And yeah, just quickly checking on some of these numbers. Yeah, the last three best of fives that they've played against each other, or the last 3 series, herO has won every single time. And herO does have a bit of a winning record against Dark specifically. But Dark is 1 game away here from turning that around and breaking that win streak. Can he do so? Can he pull it off? So far we have a hatch gas pool opener here from Dark. Nothing too crazy. Likewise, herO going for a gate expand. Oh, as they're just letting us know the map order. Crestfan into Dragon Scales into Ancient Cistern. Thank you, Inu. Thank you. I appreciate it. Gracias. 감사합니다. 안녕하세요. As we get into our game. Again, Dark to forsake the unnatural natural. Momentarily should be looking to take his 3rd base as well once this probe does get shooed away. Nothing too crazy in the early game, which is pretty important to take note of. We are loading into Dragon Scales, one of the smaller maps in the map pool, has a much shorter rush distance, and as a result can lead to a lot of aggressive play. We have seen Dark many times go for pool first openers against Protoss, against herO specifically, but so far this series, Dark has been pretty respectable. Like, again, like, typically when we see Dark versus herO, we have so many different 2-base all-ins, like Roach Queen all-ins, Nidus all-ins, like Ling Bane busts as well, proxy hatches. This time Dark is, yeah, just going for a little bit more of a macro-oriented playstyle here, which is really cool to see. Definitely do appreciate it as 2 Lings do get across the map, and 1 probe already goes down. Can we get a second? Oh, we get a second probe. Oh my god. This is more damage than should be done at this stage of the game, so really solid start here from Dark to be able to get those 2 probes. Meanwhile, herO is going for a Stargate opener into those Oracles. The Adepts are racing across the map as we speak, looking to try to deal some counter damage. Now going to be kind of camping the area here in between the bases. But Link Speed has finished up, and we're going to be able to get a surround on these Adepts. Can we get one? We do barely get 1 Adept kill. But the other shades in, and... oh! Can we get a drone? Oh! Oh my god, that was so fast. Up! It takes 2 hits, by the way. 2 Adept hits to kill a worker. And these 3, they were able to avoid death there by Dark. Well, Dark was able to keep them alive. At the same time, the Oracle dives in between the bases. We get 2 drone kills, not too bad. But with the death of those Adepts, immediately Dark goes for a counterattack because he knows that there shouldn't be anything here to defend back at home. But there is an Oracle, and Dark is trying to force that beam. Oh, there we go. Does force the activation of that pulsar beam. Does waste some of that energy as herO is working towards his 3rd Oracle. It's going to be pretty heavy commitment here into this Oracle style. And herO wants to make this pay for itself. He wants to try and do some counter damage. Make up for the probes that he lost earlier. Depths are looking to shade in, but no, the Lings are in position behind this. We have our Twilight Council and our Forge. We should be working towards Blink and +1 behind this. So pretty standard transition from herO. As the Oracles dive into the main base, and the Queens were not ready for them. Only the Spore. 5 more drones go down. Really nicely done here by herO. Bearing in mind that these Oracles, of course, will be regenerating those shields and diving back in once again for a 2nd round. Seven drone kills, though, in total isn't the worst thing for Dark. It's kind of acceptable losses so far, especially when you're up against herO. You expect to lose some workers. Oh, as the Queens once again are a little bit idle, and 4 more drones go down. At the same time, Adepts are shading in towards that 3rd base, and Dark is being pulled apart. This is getting out of control. Oh, this is too much. 7 more drones go down. The Oracles survive. The Adepts survive as well, which means herO can keep punishing and keep on pushing in. Dark just... again, a little bit of a lapse in judgment. Wasn't quite ready for any of this. For that harass. This is getting a little bit out of hand. Not gonna lie. Yeah, 4th base is gonna be cancelled. Drone is killed as well. herO snowballing a little bit out of control. Uh-oh. Okay, thank God. As we get a stasis into the main base. This time Dark is paying attention. He's only going to lose one drone to that stasis, and Dark, he goes straight into a Spire. Now, if you've been watching the channel over the past week, Dark did actually go Muta quite often these past couple of days. In the most recent KSL, Dark versus Classic, 2 games out of 3, Dark did go mass Muta to great effect. The Mutas got adequate, they did so much damage, but Dark, he doesn't have the time. He doesn't have the time to get into mutas because herO is here ready to push in. He's got 7 gates behind this. We have a pylon as well. We've seen this before on Dragon Scales. herO is going for a 3-base all-in with 7 gateways. No additional robo, or no robo behind this. No bay, no second forge, no upgrades. herO is all in. He's looking to straight up end the game with this army. It's a bit of a 1-2 punch. Dark has been struggling to hold on. It's a slow warp and the gateway isn't done. A good chunk of stalkers go down to those piles. But the adepts do shade past the army. We slip into the natural. Decent piles. But we shade into the main and no, there's no reaction. Oh, Dark is distracted by the main army. Oh, he's losing too many drones here in the main base. This is critical damage already. GG gets called, and herO ties up the series at 1-1. Completely pulling Dark apart in that game. That's the herO we know and love, not this passive defensive herO taking up into Colossi in game 1. Nah. That's not what we want, Poppy. That's not what we want. We want a herO that gets out of control with oracles, with adepts, following it up with a blink stalker push. herO just pulling Dark apart this way and that, and then coming in, catching him while he's still not quite found his footing. And now we have an ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Catching up in the chat. Emotional damage. Oh. Not like this. Not like this, man. Here we go. We're getting into game number 3. And again, typically when it comes to like early game adept and oracle harass, if we ever exceed 10 workers, like then it's quickly becoming too much. And we saw even more drones going down after that. So it was definitely a rough start for Dark. Oh, he had a hard time getting into the mid game, getting ready to actually being able to muster up an army to defend against his opponents. And we'll see how this story does end as we're getting into the ace match, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient Cistern. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming, tying up the series 1-1. It is herO. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. Oh boy, here we go. Regardless, this will be the final game of the series. It's going to end one way or the other. Either herO or Dark emerge victorious. And this is merely the semifinals. As a reminder, Cure is patiently waiting in the grand finals for the winner of this series. Still waiting for either his Zerg or Protoss opponent. We're here to bear witness as to who that's going to be. Until then though, Dark is just going for a hatch gas pool opener. Standard stuff, nothing too crazy. Forced to take the unnatural natural. I should also mention that we're here on Ancient Cistern, one of the largest maps in the map pool. It does typically favor Zerg in the mid game as a result, if we can get there without sustaining too many losses. That's the tricky part, right? Where herO, he is so damn good with his early game adept and oracle harass. We saw that in the last game. He can sometimes just, I don't want to say win the game just with his oracle and adept harass, but like get himself in a really good position to win the game, get himself ahead, get himself a good lead. So it's going to be on Dark to try to make sure he's able to keep up with herO, minimize his losses, and actually be in a pretty, or have a stable economy coming into the mid game. We'll see. See if he can pull it off. Until then, we're just going to be slowly getting our Lings up and running. We should be taking our third base momentarily as well, as the probe is going to be shoot away. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but herO is once again going for a Stargate opener. It's not like he goes for a Stargate every game. Like, he has whipped out the Twilight Council opener before, but this is his bread and butter, and, you know, why try to fix what isn't broken? And we'll see what this is going to be for. Because this map is so large, herO could try to go for the same style that he did on Gressvan, which is to go for 8 gates, but, you know, skip out on your warp-ins, go for additional robos, go for a fast bay, and a second forge, and just be a little bit more defensive and, you know, make sure you get your 4 bases up and running. I do think that's a scary thing to do against Dark specifically. I do think Dark is really good at recognizing when the Protoss is doing that and taking advantage of that as well. And on a large map like Ancient Cistern, like, Dark can quickly get out of control, where he's able to just expand, take his half of the map, spread out his creep, and tech up into lurkers. Like, we saw how that goes, or how that went in game 1. So, I don't expect herO to go for that, even though that's a style that we do see relatively often on Ancient Cistern. I think it's going to be wise to avoid that here for our Protoss. As our first Oracle is zooming out across the map. Ling's going to come in to try to force a bit of a denial on the third base, but no, the Adepts are ready and waiting. Lings don't find any damage. herO is going to be able to get his third base up without too much trouble. Behind this, Dark is going for a much faster Evo chamber. With this, he should be going to a fast +1 and eventually fast +2. Gonna be a little more reliant on Lings in the early to mid game to defend. As the Oracles do join forces, there is a Spore here at this third base, but despite that, 5 drones still go down. Did I say 5? I meant to say 6, 7! 7 drones in total. These Oracles have sustained a lot of damage though, and oh my god, herO, he doesn't care. He wants even more, and he's gonna be punished for it. Oh, herO, he flew too close to the sun, or too close to the darkness. As yeah, he had already gotten so many worker kills, but he was a little bit too greedy. He wanted a little bit more damage, and he loses an Oracle. That's 1 Oracle for 7 drones. Not bad for herO, but not good either. It's it's kind of middle of the road here for the kind of damage you want done for an Oracle. Behind this, herO is actually going to be skipping his 3rd Oracle as well, which makes this even worse, actually. So because herO was only making 2 Oracles, that means that losing 1 hurts him that much more. He's going to have that much less map presence, map control, map vision, and that much less to support his army, as he's going into a bit of a faster +1 and blink. If he's going to be committing to this Blink Stalker composition, I imagine herO is going to be rebuilding those Oracles. The Robo is on the way. And yeah, herO is just going to be a little bit aggressive early on here to apply pressure to this 4th. Has to be careful not to overextend. He's going to be able to snipe an Overlord, but maybe force a recall. And the Lings have arrived. They get a surround, and yeah, there's that recall. Oh! Ooh. 1 Stalker goes down. The Oracle barely survives once again. And with this, Dark actually cut workers really early on. He cut workers at 55. He's at a pretty big worker deficit in favor of Mass Ling. We've seen this time and time again on Ancient Sister, and Dark is pulling a bit of a Ragnarok. The goal here is to be as active as possible with Mass Ling, keep herO contained to 3 bases for as long as possible, and drone up behind this. Now, depending on how well Dark does in the mid game, he can actually skip his Roach production. He's working on Roach upgrades for sure, but he can skip Roach production and go straight for a Hive and go straight for Ultras. As we have 26 more Lings in production. Dark going for another surround. This time there is no recall. Oh, and these Stalkers are going to be cleaned up. Likewise, this 4th base is not going to get up and running either, or at least it shouldn't. Reinforcements are trickling on in. Oh, Dark. I don't know if this is the fight we really want to take, but we're going to be able to pick off a couple more of these Stalkers. Another 2 go down. 4th base gets up and running, but for the cost of 8 Stalkers here of herO. And you may be wondering, was that an efficient trade for Dark? The answer is yes, just because herO wants to be active with these Stalkers, and as the Stalker count gets lower and lower, he can't be active on the map, he can't push out, he can't threaten the bases of Dark, and he gets another surround. With +1 melee, there's a cancel on the 4th. Oh my god, the wall also is not a wall, and he won't quite commit. He is going to get cleaned up. Dark overextending a little bit there. But after losing all those lings, now we do have roaches on the way. Dark working on his 5th base as we speak. Now droning, now getting saturated on his 4 bases. And again, he's able to now justify for cutting workers early on and making all these lings just because of how much damage he's been able to do. And herO back at home has kind of been stuck. He does have a Dark Shrine. He hasn't been able to make use of it. He does have disruptors on the way, only 1 at a time. But yeah, it looks like herO has accepted his fate a little bit, and he's like, okay, I guess I'm stuck at home. I guess I have to focus on defending and actually getting my 4th base up and running, and he can't really be too active. He's giving Dark so much breathing room. And with this, Dark should be able to tech up into Hive. He's just cleaning up all these rocks, getting his 5th base up and running. Dark is about to max out, which is pretty crazy. After trading so much, he is about to max. And we'll see what angle he goes for. If he goes for the 4th or the 3rd or even the army. As here we go, the roaches are getting on top of these Archons on the right-hand side. Nova goes up. Doesn't quite connect with the army. We have 2 more disruptors available here for herO. Now 3. Another Nova just zoning away the army of Dark. And yeah, these disruptors are honestly working wonders here for herO. I spoke too soon. I spoke a little bit too soon as the Lings do manage to get into the middle line. Probes are falling left and right. Dark, I don't think he can kill herO, but he is crippling the economy. A good split as well. Avoiding those purification Novas. And yeah, this is a damn good trade overall for Dark. Oh, another Nova goes off. Up! Doesn't connect. The disruptors get focused down one after the other. On the right-hand side, it looks like herO's going to be able to hold on. He does preserve his bases. But that's okay. Dark, he's just consolidating his army and he's going to move out again. Oh! He's looking to push out for a 2nd time. He was able to kill 3 disruptors earlier. There's still 2 remaining. There's still 1 more Nova in the chamber. Up! He wants it! Up! And he's going to get it. Oh, the disruptor does go down. A bit of an overextension from herO. Now, to be fair, Dark hasn't been teching. I assumed that he would be working towards a Hive. There's no infestation pit. There is no Hive. Dark, he's been stuck with this lair tech army for quite some time. And again, I just assumed that he wanted to pressure these bases and transition out. It looks like that wasn't the case. It looks like Dark did intend to end the game. As a result, this transition is late for Dark. Now, thankfully, he's been able to kill enough disruptors where herO can't counterattack anytime soon, or he's gonna have a hard time pushing onto creep. But he is moving out, and he has to be very careful not to get surrounded, as Dark has remaxed. And here we go. Dark is coming in from behind as well. He wants to try to get on top of these disruptors. Novas are going to be going up, and we get 1 decent connection. Oh, another good connection on those Ravagers, but the disruptors are left behind. The Archons as well. Everything goes down. Again, Dark, he was maxed out. He wanted a fight on creep. herO, I'm surprised he did move out, by the way. I don't think he... clearly, he didn't have enough to tango with the army of Dark, so maybe he was just feeling really pressured because he'd been contained for so long. Maybe he was hoping Dark was maybe preserving his larva for different units, or maybe even droning. But herO did misjudge the situation. He was punished hard for it. And now, even though Dark's transition is late, it's okay. It's fine. He's not punished for it at all. Hive is on the way. Bailing speed as well. Oh, and herO, we've seen this before. Because he has no momentum, because he has no pushing power, he's transitioning. He's trying to go into Sky Toss. Now, going into Sky Toss from behind is a difficult thing to do. It's difficult because Dark should be pushing again. Like, he's going to try to break one of these bases, and he's going to be able to, I feel. We'll see. For the time being, Dark, he's just dancing in between the bases. He doesn't know that carriers are on the way. He doesn't know that the pressure is on him to trade. He needs to. He needs to trade right now. There's honestly not much protecting herO. He is far behind in the army supply. But Dark doesn't know that. Dark is in the dark, and he's giving herO the time he needs to actually make carriers. This is a bit of a scary moment. But here we go. Dark is pushing on in once again. Yeah, he's getting on top of the disruptors, and oh, they should be going down. Nova's go off. Good connections on the roaches. Dark a little bit more preoccupied here on the left-hand side, is going to get deflected by these DTs. And the carrier has arrived. herO's doing it. Like, there was a big window where herO was so vulnerable to a big attack from Dark, and Dark didn't go for it. And now we have a Spire just now thrown down. herO has momentum going his way. Now is his moment. Uh-oh. Dark needs so much time. He has such limited anti-air right now. Thankfully for Dark, we haven't hit the critical mass of carriers. We only have 3. That is going to be enough to at least be active on the map. And here we go. herO is pushing out. Once again, trading very well against Dark. Spire, we still need more time. As herO forces his way across the map, we are up to 4 disruptors at this point, 5 carriers. Oh boy. And here we go. Dark, he sets up the surround. He's coming in from behind. He's coming in from the front. The ground army is going to get cleaned up. And even though the carriers are going to survive, what else is there going to be? Oh, as the Stalkers, the Archons, everything does go down. The carriers stand strong, but carriers on their own, are they really going to be enough? They can maybe take down a base. But we have 12 Corruptors on the way. And as long as they don't trickle in, Dark should be able to muster up enough of an army to defend. So carriers do break on through. We are up to 6 carriers at this point. Dark, he doesn't have his gases at his 3rd base, which is concerning. He is out of gas, as Corruptors are quite expensive, and as herO takes down a base, he recalls. I think that's a wise move. Potentially could have maybe gotten some more damage, but he doesn't want to risk it. Doesn't want to throw away his carriers. And now herO's back in this. He cleaned up the army of Dark. He got one of the mining bases. He's slowly taking a 5th. 5th is now done at this point. And he preserved his carrier count. I do still want to give the edge to Dark, but herO, he's not down and out. Not yet. As here we go, the Lings do go for a massive counterattack in this base. Oh, it is going to be saved. For the time being, the carriers are looking exposed. herO does hold on to his 4th. But herO doesn't have the supply. He doesn't have enough supply to defend his bases. Yeah, Dark, he's just going to be hitting the 3rd and the 5th base of herO at the same time. And herO can only defend 1. And he won't defend any. There it is. 30 probes do go down. Dark may not even have to kill these carriers, but he'll try it. One carrier does get picked off. 45 probes fall, and Dark has done it. He has broken the economy of herO. He's all in. He has to end the game with this army. That's the only way for him to somehow bounce back. But Dark has so much time to remax and rebuild. He's forced herO all in, and look, I know Sky Toss is really good, okay? I know SkyToss is really efficient, but with this supply deficit, Dark, he's getting another really good surround. The Corruptors, sorry, the Spores even waddle on in as well. Archons are doing a great job at supporting the SkyToss army, but they go down one after the other. And without Archons, we cannot protect these carriers. Everything gets cleaned up, and Dark has broken the win streak. GG gets called. Dark advances on to the grand finals, taking down herO. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dark for taking down his opponents and for breaking that win streak again. How long has it been? Let me just double check. How long has it been since Dark beat herO? The last time that happened was Kung Fu Cup number 5. When was that? Was it May? I was back in May, May the 17th. So it's been a while. It's been over a month since Dark has beaten herO in an online tournament. But he does it. He fights back. He moves on to the grand finals. GG. GG. And my condolences to herO. He did well for himself to make it this far, definitely. And he looked damn good in Game 2. Let's be real. Game 2, herO looked dominant. But Ancient Cistern, this is Dark's stomping ground, and he can make this like mass link style work wonders on this map. It just gives him so much breathing room, so much time, so much freedom, so much map control. And again, herO's transition into SkyToss was a little bit late. It was after he had fallen behind, after he had lost a lot of his ground army, a lot of his disruptors. It felt like a last-ditch effort. It didn't feel like a natural transition for herO. And yeah, by the time he did get into those carriers, Dark was able to muster up enough Corruptors to defend, to clean things up, and take advantage of his much, much larger army. GG, well played. Well played. Well played. And as we get ready for the grand finals, massive shout out to Estrella, to Max Goddamn Angel. We were lucky enough to cast Estrella earlier, so I hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session and a great experience. I hope you're doing well over in the land of Korea. It's really exciting to hear that, you know, there are players like Estrella, like Future, like Scarlet and Special. They're all in Korea, training, practicing, performing, and going to be competing in GSL. That's the other thing. Best of luck. Good luck, Papi. Good luck in GSL. Definitely going to be cheering for you. Definitely going to be rooting for you. We actually casted your qualifying matches yesterday. Did cast Estrella last night. Oh, casted Estrella versus Ryung, if I recall correctly. But yeah, with that, we are getting ready for the grand finals. And I know that we've been casting the semis, and I know that I've been forgetting about the predictions. This time, predictions will be open. They will be open.